Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about the aftermath of this ALEO staking requirement. It is officially live. It is officially going on. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how the pools kind of integrated everything, because in reality, it was a shit show with everybody waiting to the last minute to fully decide. But we're going to talk about it. We'll update what the pools are doing, because some of them are doing way better things than others. We're going to talk about those highlights. We're going to talk about what specifically, and just kind of answer some of the common questions we've been getting, because there's been a lot, right? And there hasn't been a whole lot of clarity because, again, these guys waited to the last minute. Obviously not the pool's fault. That was our big argument with the beginning of this thing, with ALEO essentially giving them not much time to implement this thing. But we'll talk about it. We'll give our thoughts, and we'll give updated looks on the outlook of ALEO mining. Okay? If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So, man, what a freaking shit show. Let's talk about just updated overall profitability. This is where the one benefit of this thing may potentially play out. We're going to have to see what happens these next 3 months, right? So, when you guys are unfamiliar, the Ice River AA2 did just come out. People did start getting theirs as of about a week or two ago. It is out in the wild. It did cause profitability and yield to go down because of it. We did finally get some clarity today, only because things are finally starting to level out, right? As we kind of expected. That initial day, there was going to be a lot of confusion. Rewards were probably going to be up because of that, because people just not even knowing about the staking requirement, and then also just the pools having issues with it. But now it does look like things kind of leveled out, and things are looking somewhat good, right? So the Ice River A2, which is, again, that new guy that just came out, profitability is 26 bucks a day. And again, the one benefit from this is that hash rate is likely to be somewhat limited. Again, it's not going to be super appealing because of the staking requirement. We're going to see how it goes, though, because again, when people see these numbers, it is going to entice them. Just make sure you do understand the staking requirement going forward. Even the little AE zeros, they're still doing okay, although these numbers might be a little bit higher than what they realistically are, at least for me. For example, it's saying that the AE zeros are earning about 9.5 a day. That's what it was that initial day. Currently, I think yesterday's reward was under 7, right? So this may have to take a little bit just to kind of fully update, because again, still a lot of issues going on with everything, but as a whole, it's looking okay for now. We're going to have to just see how this kind of plays out. Okay, let's look at what the pools are doing. And this is kind of the big thing, is that, again, they didn't have a whole lot of time. But we'll talk about what the major poolers are doing. We'll talk about F2 pool, DX pool, ZK work, and whale pool, which are likely going to be probably the only real pools that are going to stay up. Amp pool is up. I would expect theirs eventually to be more significant once Bitmain actually releases their unit. If they do, I mean, they announced it, but still super weird that we haven't heard anything on it. But let's look at their integration, which them and DX Pool are so far definitely the best. Whale Pool is definitely slacking. Honestly, after comparing the pools, their implementation was probably the worst. Okay, we'll talk about as to why here specifically. But let's look at theirs. F2 Pool will use account hash rate snapshot data on 7/31, which was July 31st. So it was the day before, so they essentially took a snapshot as the basis for providing ALEO staking support. The staking arrangement is as follows. From August 1st to September 1st, F2 Pool will provide supplementary staking amounts based on the hash rate recorded in the snapshot. So pretty much whatever you had as of that date, they're going to essentially do the stake for you for that month, right? Which is realistically what all of them should have done, to kind of give people the heads up, and in order to give them time also to bank that amount for anybody who just purchased their unit or wasn't able to essentially mine the amount required for them to stake up to that announcement date. If a user's ALEO account balance is insufficient to meet the staking requirement for their snapshot hash rate, F2 Pool will cover the additional required ALEO tokens for staking. So again, as long as you were there with them, and let's say you didn't have enough, which was for the most part, the majority of people, they were going to cover the rest for that month. Now, so that was one benefit. The other big benefit is this down here. So ALEO payouts, number 3. ALEO balances and user accounts will start generating staking rewards from August 2nd. The current estimated annualized yield is 9% with actual returns subject to final settlement results and network conditions, right? So this is the big benefit, is that you're able to gain yield on what you're being forced to stake. So just to clear up some confusion, because I did get a lot of questions regarding this, especially because Whale Pool isn't offering staking rewards currently, and people were thinking that Whale Pool is stealing their rewards or their staking rewards. Main reason for the confusion, a lot of these pools were kind of advertising this change as it like going from proof of work to proof of stake. That's not the case. It's always been a hybrid of proof of stake has been the main consensus method. The proof of work aspect is, again, we refer to this as mining, but we are proving. Okay, so it's always been proof of stake. So this staking requirement for the proving side has nothing to do with that consensus, meaning it has nothing to do with those staking rewards. This is an additional required stake for the sole purpose of being able to gain rewards while you're mining. Okay. So the reason that these guys are offering rewards is because they are doing something with what you are staking, meaning they are probably staking themselves. They potentially created a validator. That could be what it is. Okay, they are doing some form of something with your yield to generate that reward and kind of passing it off to you. Most likely they're just staking it into a validator. Okay, not necessarily them running a validator, just because it's a pretty extreme requirement, but it's possible that they have been from the get-go also, right? Because again, a lot of these guys were in early F2 pools specifically. They were one of the first pools back when we were GPU mining, so they probably do have a pretty fat stack and wouldn't be surprised if they are actually also a validator. So pretty interesting there. Kind of the same deal with DX Pool we were kind of talking about, because they do offer other staking services. They have like Ethereum, they do that. So that was our guess, was that they were probably going to be the most prepared in this situation, just because on the back end, at least, this is something that's not new to them. Okay. So let's talk about their changes. So ALEO mining will transition to a proof of stakes plus proof of work hybrid mechanism, which is, again, it's always been. This is where a lot of the confusion is as far as that goes, because again, it's not proof of stake. Like, yes, you are staking, but it's not a proof of staking consensus requirement, which is what typically POs requires to. Again, you're just staking in order to have the ability to mine, or essentially to earn your yield on that mining. Because again, another part of the confusion is like, okay, what if I only have half of the staking requirement? Why are these pools stealing my yield if I'm still mining at full hash rate but only earning half the rewards? So just because you only have half the staking requirement doesn't mean your little 60 mega hash AE0 is only going to do 30 mega hash of work. It's still going to mine the whole thing. You're just not going to earn the full reward from it. Okay, so they're not stealing from you. It's just you have to have that amount to earn that actual yield for it. Okay, so we already talked about the amounts and stuff. Let's go to what their plan was. So to ensure a smooth transition, DX Pool will take a snapshot of user hash rate on July 24th. So very similar to F2 Pool, just theirs was a week earlier. For the hash rate captured in the snapshot, from August 1st to September 1st, DX Pool will provide full staking coverage. No additional staking fee is required from users. From September 1st to October 1st, DX Pool will cover 20% of the staking amount. Users wanting to stake the remaining 80% ALEO in the pool. Staked ALEO will earn an estimated 9% annualized yield. So very similar to F2 Pool's integration. After October 1st, users must fully stake the required ALEO based on their hash rate to continue mining effectively, meaning just earning your full rewards. For hash rate that was added after the snapshot, DX Pool will not provide any staking coverage. So again, it was just to incentivize those people who are already there. And this is kind of what we're talking about. It would be not necessarily weird, but it'd probably be a little difficult for them to cover the amount if there was a mass inflow of people coming. So again, it's just to benefit those who are already there. Users are required to stake Users are required to stake sufficient ALEO themselves, and the understaked hash rate may be considered partially or fully invalid. So that's kind of interesting that it may not actually be a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning if you have 50%, they may just be considered fully invalid, right? It's going to be up to them how they determine that. Because again, all these pools are going to have different integrations, because it's pretty much up to them how they do it, right? And again, they were given such a short amount of time. DX Pool had it right. It does seem like their update was first, so F2 Pool essentially just copied what they were doing. And realistically, again, that's the play that made most sense. Our hope was that they were going to extend things or delay things, but they kind of took it to their own hands and just gave people an extra month to kind of accumulate. Okay. One of the other major pools, which is pool number 4, ZK.work. This was the most interesting one. So they didn't really put it on their website. It is on their X account, so no need to stake yourself. We cover it, which is interesting. Only 1% fee, adjustable based on demand. Partners including beta staking and ALEO holders, enough to support all hash rate, welcoming large miners and holders for joint mining. Okay, so this is pretty interesting because they are also covering it fully. It doesn't give a time frame. It doesn't say it's going to be forever, and it doesn't say it's not going to, right? It's kind of vague. It was kind of like the X Pool's initial tweet, right? They were saying we're never going to force anybody to stake and do all this. That's what we're talking about. It's extremely vague because it doesn't also say you're going to get full rewards and all that stuff. And then later on, they came up with this clarification. Okay. To me, it's probably going to be something similar here. Otherwise, you're going to see a mass exit that's going over there, which is possible because, again, ZK.work was also one of the early pools with ALEO. So very good odds they do probably have a pretty massive bag. Okay, so now let's go to number 4, which is where I'm at. And this is probably where the majority of Ice River units are because, again, every manufacturer essentially has their kind of like partner pool. With Ice River, it's Whale Pool, DX Pool is Gold Shells, and then Bitmain has their own pool as well. So again, their integration was probably actually the worst, only because of the main difference with the others is no staking rewards, no kind of yield from your stake currently. That doesn't mean this isn't going to change, but that's how it is currently. There was also quite a bit of confusion just with how much you were actually going to have to stake. For the most part, we kind of had the heads up. We kind of did our basic calculations. They did put this calculator up, so the confusion lied in how the staked amount would work. Because again, they had been withholding a certain amount. In my case, I had accumulated since the beginning of the thing where they were going to lock up your tokens about 181. At the time, I needed about 240, right? So they did open up a different staking site, easystaking.io. The links are there on their website. You click on there. One thing to note, it's got to be through your ALEO wallet. Okay, I know a lot of people had issues with the mobile ALEO wallet. It is recommended to do this thing on desktop. If you're having issues with the ALEO wallet, you can open the browser from within that wallet. I believe that's what people were doing on the mobile to get it to work. And that could fix some of the situation. So the confusion was, okay, so is this counting towards the staked amount? Obviously, it's there on the website. But was that going to count fully? Like, did I need to actually do the 240 on easy staking? Or was the 181 here valid and already staked, and I would just need to stake the additional amount? Well, the answer was you just needed to stake the additional amount that was required, right? So when you logged into your site, you logged into your account, it would tell you how much you had staked. So it would tell you how much you had accumulated and how much you would need to stake on easystaking.io in order for you to get your full hash rate. Okay. So one thing to notice, again, the values we had estimated were based on that current hash rate. And as we had mentioned, it's going to change because it's based on the overall hash rate. So the big difference here that we've noticed is the overall hash rate has gone up. The requirement to stake has gone down. So as that goes up, the amount you're going to have to stake is actually going to go down. Initially, it was about 240 something. And now currently, because the hash rate has gone up because of the introduction of those 82s, it's down to about 202, right? So that is kind of something to factor in, that nothing is going to be fixed. It's going to vary between here and there, but just make sure you understand those dynamics and understand that every 3 months it's going to go up. You can kind of guesstimate that it's going to 2.5x because the current requirement is 100,000 per gigahash, I believe, and it's going to go up to 250,000. Okay, so it's not going to be exactly a 2.5x as we've seen. It's already gone down. The hash rate continues to go up. It can lower there, but I would say be prepared for that amount. Okay. So that was pretty much it. So just did stake the remaining 60. I did it as early as possible. As soon as I saw the notification, I did it just because, again, it was the day before it's going to take effect. So what's going to happen? Everybody and their mom is going to be doing the same thing. You're going to have congestion issues. You're going to have issues doing it. So if you haven't done it, should be good to go now. I believe by the next day, people are already there. And that's pretty much that. Again, Whalepool did not give the 30-day incentive like the others did. The others essentially gave you 30 days. If you didn't have enough, they were going to cover you. So hopefully you can begin to accrue like anybody who just got their AE2. That would have been extremely helpful. So they didn't do that. And also, as of now, there are no staking rewards. So can that potentially change? I would hope so, because otherwise they're probably going to lose a lot of hash rate to like F2 pool or ZK.work in the future, or even DX pool. Although I know a lot of people have had issues with AE0s on DX pool. Most likely people would go to F2 pool or ZK.work. So hopefully they do put out something, because again, if there is no intention, then I would definitely see people leaving, probably including myself. Okay, so that's why we're saying overall they kind of had the worst integration regarding it. But as of now, though, things have pretty much leveled off, right? As we look at the rewards that were earned that initial day, it was higher because, again, we had been going down to about 7.2. That initial day was 9.7. Just because, again, people not being aware of the requirement, people have issues with staking, people who just didn't stake the required amount. The overall confusion, the next day went down to 8.8, the 7.5, then ultimately 6.86, which overall makes more sense because of now, again, the introduction of those AE2s, right? Those monsters, we do know quite a few are out there in the wild. So that's why that has gone down. Realistically, it's probably going to go down a few more clicks and then hopefully level off for a bit until at least there's more excitement with people potentially buying more hardware, right? So we'll see how it pans out. It's gonna have to be a wait and see thing, but at least if you were to earn some yield on it, that would be nice. As we look at the overall yield, because again they were saying about 9%, that's kind of about the ongoing rate. I think the full rate is a little bit over 10%, but again, each pool is going to charge a certain amount in order to stake with them. Okay. So here's a list of some of the majors. You can see it's going to vary from 10 to 20%, depending on who you are actually staking with, right? It's going to depend on that validator, and it's going to be their fee structure, right? Some do 10%. You can see here, this one was 20%, some are 0%. So it's going to be dependent on where the pool decides to stake your ALEO, okay? And this is where it can get a little bit janky, because again, it's a weird situation overall, right? Just not a fan of the implementation of it. But some interesting things here are we can see which validators had the biggest increase in the amount of overall ALEO staked. There's two big standouts because, again, there's only like 31 validators currently on the whole damn network, which isn't good as is already. But you can see two pools had a very significant amount of more new ALEO that's staked, right? This is number 9 here. You can see the percentage, 410% increase. Okay, so most likely this is one of them that maybe F2 pool or DX pool decided to stake on, or this can be them. Again, it's very high potential likelihood that they have been validators for a long time, because again, they were early pool operators and they were early miners in this thing. So I'm sure they have a lot bagged and they decided to do it. So you can see pool number 9, the other being pool number 13, right? So this one also an influx of 284% increase, right? Versus the next highest down here at 22%, and that's pretty much it. Right, 51% over here for puzzle. But again, these two very likely, one is F2 pool, one is DX pool. Are they validators also, or they just decided to pick them? It's hard to say. This is one that's a 0%, so this obviously would be the most appealing. So they can give the majority of the rewards back to the miners. Okay, because at this point the reward rate is 9.99. It would make sense for the pool operator to take a percent for offering the service. So just something to consider there. That's most likely where the yield is coming from. I would hope that's where the yield's coming from, and they're not degenning and going into a lending platform of such sort, because that would end insanely bad, as we've seen with other things in the past, things like Celsius and such. And kind of what we talked about also was that this was going to lead to extreme centralization, and it was mostly going to be just the top pools, and that's essentially what's happened, right? So it's currently DX pool, Whale pool, F2 pool, ZK work are the majority of the hash rate, right? It is what it is, right? A lot of pool operators on the smaller end, it's not going to make sense for them to deal with all this bullshit. They're just going to be like, you know what? Because profitability obviously isn't that great for a lot of these pool operators anyway. To deal with this extra bullshit within such a little time frame, I don't blame them for not participating there, right? We do see an amp pool down here at the bottom. Eventually, as their unit comes out, I'm sure that'll go up and be number 5. I wouldn't be surprised if these other pools just end up falling off completely here. Okay, so again, that's kind of the downfall with all this extra BS that they're adding. Again, the main guys that are there, F2 pools, just been around from the beginning. Whale pool, because of their affiliation with Ice River, they want to have something where it's dedicated for them. Same story with the X pool and Gold Shell, right? And then as far as has it been working? Is it doing its thing? I mean, we can definitely see there was this big spike here on July 22nd, and as we had mentioned, most likely had to do with people who purchased their AE2 having that oh shit moment. I gotta buy this ALEO in order to stake. That could very likely be what that was. It's currently down to 26 cents, which overall isn't the worst thing in the world, especially right now because a lot of alts are bleeding. Market is tanking a little bit. Again, it's going to be more of a long-term thing, and specifically, especially after this next quarter when it goes up again in November. Okay, that's going to be really telling because it's really going to depend on what the market's doing. Is ALEO pumping? Is it struggling? And because again, the staking requirement is going to go up at least double of what it is currently. Okay, so we're going to have to wait to see. I did look up a staking. Let's see if it comes up again. I think Coinbase had it actually. Coinbase did list as far as how much of the overall supply is staked, and 76% is staked. Okay, it's a pretty good chunk. So at this point, it's only 24% is currently liquid. So we'll see what kind of effect it has on things. And realistically, I mean, we're not going to know until it's kind of done, right? So it's been quite the shit show. Although now, again, we do have a little bit more clarity with the pools, like which pools are doing it the right way. So shout out to F2 pool and DX pool for having those yielding rewards so you can at least gain something. Hopefully Whale pool kind of picks up the slack and starts doing something similarly, because I mean, it only makes sense. It doesn't make sense to just hold on to all this ALEO without doing anything to it. You might as well, you know, freaking stake it and earn something from it, right? So we'll see what they implement it, when they implement it, see how things go, and we'll see how this whole little experiment plays out, right? Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Did you guys stake in time? Did you guys have any issues? I know a lot of people, or quite a few people, had issues with Whale pool and just kind of the confusion as to how much to stake. Was that amount already staked, or were they going to have to wait a few days? Let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'm out.